What's up, my name's Exile and welcome to my must-have Skyrim mods video. The purpose of this video is to give you a list of some of the best mods I've found to use as a basis for your modded Skyrim experience. The idea is that the mods listed in this video completely enhance the main aspects of Skyrim, and then once they're installed, if you feel the need to, you can install whatever mods you want over the top of them. Bear in mind that this is not a tutorial on how to install mods, so once you've found the ones that you want, if you don't know how to install them already, then you're going to have to find that out for yourself. I will say now though, to forget the Steam Workshop. I search for and download all my mods from the Skyrim Nexus, and my opinion is that's really where you want to go to download all these mods and install them using their Nexus mod manager. There will be some things in this video that you won't be able to download from the Skyrim Nexus. The main textures that we're going to use, as far as I know, you can only download them via torrent, and there are another couple of bits that you'll need to go to external sites in order to download. First of all, we're going to need to get you ready for modding. So you need to download and install Boss. You need to get SKSE, which is Skyrim Script Extender, and you want to get Sky UI as well. Sky UI completely revamps the UI for the game and makes it a lot more user-friendly for people on PC, as well as having with it something called the mod configuration menu, and what that will do is let you change certain settings for some of the mods in order to customize it to your preferences. Once you have those, I suggest you get the unofficial patches for Skyrim. So there's the unofficial Skyrim patch, the unofficial Dawnguard patch, the unofficial Dragonborn patch, and the unofficial Hearthfire patch. Now, they fix numerous bugs that have been left in the game by Bethesda, and they're, in my opinion, really good to have right at the beginning before you start modding your Skyrim. Now we're on to the good bit, the graphics. The very first thing I install when I'm doing the graphics for my Skyrim is an ENB. What an ENB does is completely revamp all the lighting and shader effects for your game, and I can't play Skyrim without it anymore. The ENB that I've chosen, and my personal favourite, is Bleak ENB. Now there's 2 or 3 reasons why I picked this one. First of all, it keeps the original feeling of the game. It doesn't mess around with the colours too much. And what a lot of ENBs do, especially in dungeons, is they give everything kind of an orangey haze, especially around sort of low lit areas with fiery effects and things like that. Secondly, it has 3 different quality presets, so depending on the hardware of your system, you can go for a really nice high quality ENB, or you can go for something that's a bit more suited towards your system. The third reason is that some of the ENBs that you see on the Nexus are designed to work in conjunction with other mods. The ENB that I've chosen, Bleak ENB, doesn't require you to install a multitude of other mods in order to get it to work properly, although it doesn't support some of the lighting mods like Climates of Tamriel or Realistic Lighting Overhaul. The next mod on the list is SMIM, or Static Mesh Improvement mod. Now the title kind of tells you what it does. It improves meshes for many different items in the game. All the bits of clutter that you see in inside areas, so all the bits on tables and things like that, this mod improves those. I can almost guarantee that if you have the mod installed, you won't notice that you have it installed, but if you don't have it installed, you'll see all the little bits and pieces that could be so much better. Next up, it's the main textures for the game. Now, out of all the different texture mods that I've tried and looked at, by far my favourite is the Skyrim Realistic Overhaul textures. Now, you can't download these from the Nexus. As far as I know, you can only get them via torrent. They do come in different resolutions, so your system specs should dictate which textures to download. Obviously, if you have a beastly system with a lot of video memory, then go for the high resolution textures. And if you have more of a mediocre system, then choose something a bit more suited to your specs. Now we're going to look at lush trees and grass. I've used this mod for a long time, although I have looked at some of the other mods that do similar things. Lush trees and grass is my personal pick because it improves the game. Obviously it adds more trees and more grass to the environment, but it doesn't add trees where there shouldn't be trees, and it doesn't add so much grass to the game that it completely tanks your frame rate. It does have some options when installing it via the mod manager, but I suggest going for the original version. There are some other mods that you can download to do the grass in Skyrim, and some of them are fantastic, but The reason I chose Lush Trees and Grass is because it does the trees and the grass in one mod, and some of the other grass mods can be quite detrimental to your frame rates. Now you can leave it there for graphics mods if you like, and if you've never modded Skyrim before you'll probably be amazed at how it looks, but I really suggest installing the next ones on my list as well. Born Book of Silence is another texture mod, but this guy's textured the weapons, the armors, the unique items, the creatures and the Dragonborn DLC, and this guy is a texturing genius. If you are umming and ahhing about installing these next mods, then before you make your decision, go over to the Skyrim Nexus and look at his screenshots for the Born Book of Silence. I'm going to roll off these next 3 mods pretty quickly, but that doesn't mean they're any less worth it. We've got Enhanced Blood Textures, Realistic Smoke and Embers, and Ultimate HD Fire Effects. It's pretty obvious from the titles what these mods do, so I shouldn't have to explain it, but I will say that the Enhanced Blood Textures does have support for the mod configuration menu so that you can configure the mod to your preferences. And the last mod we got for graphics is Water and Terrain Enhancement Redo. Now you just got to look at some of the footage on the screen to see what this mod does, and I really recommend putting it in your mod list. In this next bit we're going to look at audio, and the first mod that I've chosen for audio is Audio Overhaul for Skyrim. If you're big on audio like I am, then you should hear a significant difference in quite a few of the sounds in Skyrim when using this mod. After that we've got Immersive Skyrim Thunder. Now the first time that I heard the sound of the thunder in Skyrim with this mod, I was walking through Falkreath and it completely blew my mind. It's fantastic. It makes a significant improvement on some of the rainy weather that you experience in Skyrim. And the last mod we got for audio is Thundering Shouts. Now this lowers the tone of your shout slightly and adds a bit more depth to it as well. And I find it's especially good for female characters.
No one best.
And onto gameplay. Now this bit's mainly aimed at people who've already played a lot of Skyrim, although the first 2 mods will be really good for new players as well. Interesting NPCs I cannot recommend highly enough. I would even argue that some of the NPCs from this mod are better than the original Bethesda NPCs, and the voice acting, although some of it at times can be a little bit sketchy, most of it, I'd say at least 80% of it, is as good as it could be. Sometimes you won't even be able to decide whether it's an original Bethesda NPC that you've never seen before or whether it's a new one from the mod. The mod creators even got their new NPCs to interact with the original Bethesda NPCs in a realistic way. On top of all that, this mod introduces new followers and quests to the game, so if you've already played hundreds of hours of Skyrim like I have, it's nice to have all this new content available to you.
One of them urchins asked if I really got an Oblivion Gate between my legs. I told her, no, but your mother does, spitting out Deirdre like you.
If you're anything like me, you see the original horses from the game as more of a liability than anything else, so this next mod is an absolute must-have. Convenient Horses is a complete overhaul of the mounts in the game. Before I started using this mod, I wouldn't even buy a horse and I would run everywhere in Skyrim on foot. Now I have a horse for me and my follower, and I've even tweaked the speed of the horse in the MCM menu to make it a lot more feasible to use to get around the map. Now my horse runs away from a fight rather than to it, and I can decide whether I want the horse to follow me or wait where I left it. If I left my horse a few hundred meters away, or maybe even further, and I didn't want to run all the way back to my mount, I can just stand there and whistle and it will come running back to me. Now that I'm using this mod in game, I've completely disabled fast travel and use my mount to get everywhere. These next 2 mods should go together, although you can use them separately if you really wanted to. I want to make clear now that these 2 mods make the game significantly more difficult. With dual combat realism and Skyrim Unleashed, you shouldn't expect to be able to clear out an entire bandit camp at level 5, and these 2 mods really make you work for it. First couple of times I tried these mods I hated them and pretty much instantly uninstalled them, but when I gave them a third go and started from scratch with a brand new character, I really got it, and now I much prefer to play Skyrim with these. I found myself actually hunting to try and get hides to level up my crafting so that I could improve my equipment. I found myself cooking for the first time and making potions and especially poisons. I found myself relying on my follower a lot more and actually having to be tactical and thinking about how I was going to clear out dungeons and bandit camps. With my playstyle in Skyrim, I'm usually using a one-handed weapon and a shield. The thing that I like most about these mods is instead of blocking with my shield and having the enemy take some of my health off, when I block with my shield I lose more stamina than health, which seems a lot more realistic to me. Not only that, but when I'm blocking a power attack, instead of just standing there and shrugging it off, I actually get staggered. This means I block normal attacks, but try to avoid power attacks as much as I can.
I'll show you what a real can do. Have your back.
Moving on to the last two gameplay mods, we have Dragon Combat Overhaul and Deadly Dragons. If you want to know all about Dragon Combat Overhaul, then I suggest you head over to his Nexus page and read what he's got on there. He's got all the information that you need about the mods, and I'm pretty sure you'll find it quite amusing as well. As for Deadly Dragons, there's a lore-friendly version and a not-so-lore-friendly version. Personally, I suggest you go for the not-so-lore-friendly version, and I also suggest that you don't do too much looking into the mod before you install it, especially if you've already played a lot of Skyrim. I did this, and my experience with the mod was absolutely fantastic. It's time for characters, and I'm going to try and keep the amount of mods to a minimum. Now be warned, there is potentially some adult content coming up, but both of the body mods I've chosen do have clean versions so you can loot in safety. I'm going to start with the males, and the body mod that I've chosen is Better Males. Pay attention to the optional files on the Nexus, because if you don't want the meat and 2 veg on display, there is an underwear version. Along with that, I'd say to get superior lore-friendly hair, but make sure you get the rough version. This mod works well for female characters too, and because it replaces the vanilla hair, you'll see it in all the NPCs as well. The next two mods are simply called Beards and Brows, both of them made by the same person. It gets a bit more complicated for female characters because there are many different options for body mods available. As a general rule, I'd say go where the armors are. If you like a specific set of armor, then you have to choose the body mod that's compatible for it. In my time playing Skyrim, I've tried a lot of different configurations on how to get a fantastic looking female character, and I play female characters most of the time. In fact, if I'm honest, the character that you've seen so far in the video is my first male character for Skyrim. After spending so much time making female characters and playing around with all the different options available, I can say that I've whittled it down to 3 mods that you can use to make your character look absolutely amazing. So for the body mod, I picked UNP. It's not perfect, but if we're honest, none of the body mods really are. It probably has more armor sets compatible for it than any other body mod, although 7 base seems to be catching up. But on top of that, if someone makes an armor mod for the default vanilla body, they usually work with the UNP body mod as well. Now the next part is the kicker. There's a skin texture on the Nexus called Mature Skin Texture, and in my opinion, it's by far the most impressive skin texture for a female body mod out there. Now this is the last bit to making your female character look amazing. It's really important to find a really good hair mod, and you have to try and find something that fits with the rest of the game. I'm a firm believer in simple and effective, and there's a mod on the Nexus called Ponytail Hairstyles. So that's it. Now you can start playing, or you can install whatever other mods you want over the top. Remember to check and make sure that anything else you install is compatible with what you already have. Quite often you'll find that different mods have patches in order to be able to work with each other properly. And just because I picked Bleak ENB for this video doesn't mean it's necessarily the best, or that everyone's going to like it. Trying out a few different ENBs is probably the best way to go, and they all have good and bad points. If you want to know what armor and weapons I was using, the sword is Lona's sword. It comes in either a one-handed or a two-handed version. The shield is the Orc Crescent shield from the BDYEB shield mod, and it does have a download for just the shield on its own. And the armor is the Evil Mastermind armor. All those you can get on the Skyrim Nexus. I should also mention that the beard that my character had was from the Dwemer Beards mod.
To understand the objective of our guild, you must first understand the principles of light and dark magic itself. The old mages believed that magic was a fundamental force in our world, one whose energies could reflect brightly or darkly. Yet a spell by itself has no alignment, Flames warm as easily as they burn. Intent is the determining factor. Now, consider the crafting of a new spell. Do the same rules apply? Should we condemn those who research magic based on their intent? Should breakthrough restoration research be suspended if the mage intends to use it for torture?